Preface to Lyrical Ballads. Function of Poetry. Wordsworth has a very high conception of poetry. Like Aristotle, he too believes that it is the most philosophical of all writings. The object of poetry is truth, not truth individual and local, but general and operative. Poetic truth is general in the sense that it does not depend upon external evidence, but directly affects our hearts through passions. It is operative as it carries its own conviction and we feel it to be true. In other words, it is not the truth of reason or intellect, but the truth of feeling. Wordsworth tries to explain poetry in terms of the poet. He asks the question, what is a poet? In order that it may throw light upon the nature and value of poetry. The poet, according to him, is a man speaking to men. A man, it is true, endowed with more lively sensibility, more enthusiasm and tenderness, who has a greater knowledge of human nature and of a more comprehensive soul. A man pleased with his own passions and volitions, and who rejoices more than other men in the spirit of life that is in him. The poet, in other words, is not basically different from other men. The difference, however, lies in degree, as he is possessed of a superior power to feel and to express his feelings. Thus endowed, he has a ready access to the readers' hearts, thereby rectifying their feelings, making their feelings more sane, pure, and permanent. The poet is in such a state of mind that he considers man and nature as essentially adapted to each other, acting and reacting with each other so as to create infinite harmony. The poet is aware that the basic laws of the human mind are but parts of the larger pattern of the fracture of the universe. The poet redeems man from triviality and from selfishness by demonstrating the importance of sympathy and the relation of the vast empire of human society by revealing of the common psychological laws which underline all sensations and all sensitivity. The poet thus reveals the relationship of men both to each other and to the universe at large. It thus helps in promoting the mental and moral health and happiness for all. Wordsworth, however, stresses the importance of pleasure, but his pleasure is not something purely sensuous. Poetry binds together the vast empire of human society, and the poet is the rock of defense for human nature, an upholder and preserver, carrying everywhere with him relationship and love. It manipulates our feelings so as to purify them. Poetry for Wordsworth is a great force for good. His own object in writing poetry was to console the afflicted, to add sunshine to daylight by making the happy happier, to teach the young and the gracious of every age to see, to think and feel, and therefore to become more actively and securely virtuous. He has no hesitation to assert that every great poet is a teacher. I wish either to be considered as a teacher or as nothing, he declared. Wordsworth, like the other romantics, was hostile to the emerging science and talked of the meddling intellect. But the 1800 preface makes a connection between science and poetry, of course, to the advantage of poetry. Poetry is the breath and final spirit of all knowledge, and that it is the impassioned expression which is in the countenance of all science. He seems to predict that the poet will carry sensation into the midst of the objects of the science itself. He perhaps implies that even science will be influenced by poetry and the science will gain quality in the process. Poetry, in other words, will be necessary for all men at all times. By assimilating all, poetry makes us aware of the nature and mystery of man and nature, not by an appeal to our intellect, but by direct appeal to our feelings, felt in the blood, felt along the heart. We are thus humbled and humanized.